dangerous weapons. The U.S. warns the strongman of Syria not to use the chemical weapons he has loaded, ready to go in an airfield. So what will the U.S. do next? Made in America claims a kind of victory, Apple announcing they will bring some jobs back from overseas. But is this the start of something even bigger? Hooked, the mom spending up to $200 a month on her virtual farm, and we'll show you other games which keep you coming back with a secret every 6 seconds.
From ABC News World Headquarters, this is ABC World News with Diane Sawyer.
Good evening. We begin with the worldwide reaction today to a dangerous move in Syria. Chemicals, deadly sarin gas, loaded onto weapons near an airfield there. One drop of sarin can kill within minutes, so world leaders are mobilizing tonight, deciding what they are going to do. And ABC senior foreign affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz takes us inside that story.
Today, Hillary Clinton overseas trying to find some diplomatic way to end this increasingly dangerous conflict. 20 months of fighting, 40,000 lives lost, and now the chilling possibility of an air attack with deadly nerve agents.
There is no question that we remain very concerned that the regime might very well consider the use of chemical weapons.
A senior U.S. official saying that over the weekend, the Syrian military loaded components of the nerve gas sarin into bombs on or near Syrian airfields. They have not loaded the bombs onto aircraft, but the threat remains.
Once the chemicals are poured into weapons, artillery shells, bombs that can be dropped from airplanes, they can be good up to almost 2 months.
The Syrian government claims it will not use chemical weapons, but President Assad is feeling the pressure from opposition forces who have gained strength and are now moving on the capital, Damascus. Jeremy Bowen with our BBC partners is there tonight and reports Assad's forces are waging a fierce defense.
Throughout the day and after dark, when I'm speaking to you, there are quite steady explosions of shell fire, outgoing artillery fire going into the suburbs around the center of the city where I am.
Residents are caught in a worsening crossfire.
People who came from areas that are being shelled, they are on the street. Many children, sometimes you see them crying, old people are sleeping on the ground.
But nothing in this horrific war has gotten the attention of U.S. officials more than this chemical weapons threat.
These reports may mean that the United States and our allies are facing the prospect of an imminent use of weapons of mass destruction in Syria, and this may be the last warning we get.
I can tell you planning for all sorts of contingencies is already underway, but military action would not be easy. It could take upwards of 75,000 troops to secure those chemical weapons, which no one is eager to provide. But President Obama, Diane, has warned that using those weapons is a red line.
On the story for us tonight, Martha Raddatz. Thank you, Martha. And now we want to tell you about another turbulent hotspot so vital to the United States. There is a battle in the streets outside the presidential palace in Egypt again, and ABC's Nick Schifrin is there.
Tonight, 10,000 Egyptians taking the fight over their future to the presidential palace. They want President Mohamed Morsi, the man they elected, now to be removed for seizing too much power. Last night, this same street was a war zone. 6 killed, 700 injured. The biggest crisis here since Egypt, one of America's most important Arab allies, overthrew its dictator, Hosni Mubarak.
These very same people filled these same streets 2 years ago. Today, they're chanting the same exact songs, only replacing Hosni Mubarak's name with Mohamed Morsi's.
Tonight, Morsi refused to give up the absolute power he sees to write a new constitution, one that many here feel doesn't protect the rights and freedoms they fought so hard for.
He has become like, you think you didn't like Mubarak? That is worse than Mubarak.
The president's defiance has only increased the tension here, and tonight these people vow to fight on in the name of democracy. Diane?
Nick Schifrin in Cairo tonight, and now we return back here at home to Made in America, claiming a kind of victory tonight. The American powerhouse, Apple, famous for its giant manufacturing operations in China, has promised to do something they have not done in nearly 20 years. Build some Apple computers right here in the United States. And ABC's David Muir, captain of our Made in America team, is here with the latest details. David.
And Diane, as you know, for nearly 3 decades, Apple made its computers in the U.S. before starting to outsource production in the mid-90s. Tonight, one of their lines will soon bear those 3 words we've been reporting so much here, Made in America. Tonight, that bold announcement from Apple. CEO Tim Cook now says some of Apple's Mac computers will next year carry those 3 words, Made in America. Cook telling Bloomberg Businessweek that the company plans to spend $100 million next year to move production of the Mac line from China back here to the U.S. It was earlier this year when asked about the factories they used to have here in America that Tim Cook talked about the possibility of bringing manufacturing back.
There is some manufacturing involved in the U.S. Will there be an Apple product ever made again in the United States?
I want there to be. And now a promise that there will be. The vast majority of Apple products are made overseas. Wow. The Foxconn factories in China, they make 40% of the world's electronics. For just this year, ABC's Bill Weir took you inside for an exclusive look after working conditions there came under fire. This new move by Apple, moving their line of Macs back to America, still represents a small percentage of Apple's overall product line. iPhones, iPads would still be assembled overseas. But Cook has made the point before that key components of the iPhone, for instance, are made in America. The processor made here, the glass in Kentucky.
Will it ever say on the back of an Apple product, designed in California, assembled in the United States?
Several parts are from the United States. Tonight, economists telling us Apple is now joining a trend that we've reported on extensively here on World News, an early wave of American companies committed to rethink their strategy of where they manufacture their products. Chinese wages have risen 15 to 20% a year. Another key reason to come back, proximity, location. Make it here and you don't have to ship from China, saving a lot of money. Suddenly, the math for many companies isn't adding up. So they're deciding that Made in America makes more sense.
Yes, it's an economic question about being made in America. It's not necessarily a patriotic question, it's an economic question.
One that also creates a ripple effect here at home. The other jobs created. Just last night we introduced you to Ariana Russell in St. Louis, making her own iPhone cases and determined to make her design here in America. So you found a way to do it here.
Found a way to do it here.
There was so much interest in those American-made iPhone cases last night that her website crashed within 5 minutes of our report, but it's back up and running tonight, and she tells us she sold 2,000 of those iPhone cases, Diane, in 24 hours. But on this larger announcement from Apple tonight, we reached out to our team of economists, and they all echoed one another, saying that this is about more than just goodwill. It's now good business, and Diane Swamp told us just before we came on the air tonight,